On this episode, we find out how competitive Kyle really is. Hey everybody, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is the Ask GaryVee Show, episode 288. And I have a tremendous guest, a name that, even people that aren't fans of NASCAR, I think will know, just because I think the general awareness of Kyle overall in culture is quite high. And so I'm excited to have him here, get a sense a little bit of his origin story. I like comic books in my life, so kind of comic book episode 1 is always kind of interesting. The first copy is the origin stories. Those things get me excited. We'll go into that. We'll go a little bit into the current state of NASCAR from his perspective and the drivers and the influencer world and the social media stuff, and then we will take your calls. So if you are on Facebook right now, please start putting in your phone numbers. Andy is here. He will select them, give us a sense of the kind of question you want or where you're from. Feel free to ask Kyle or I a question of any interest, even if it's not thematically to what we are talking about right now. But now we get to introduce the guest. Kyle, thank you first of all so much for being on, man.
Yes, sir. Good to meet you.
So why don't you tell the Vayner Nation, there's a lot of people on here who know you, a lot of who don't, a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I'm the driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota Camry in the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. Race every Sunday pretty much. We don't have a whole lot of off weekends. We run 38 times out of the year. Now leading the point standings currently and have been for, last few weeks. We've been pretty successful. We just won last weekend actually in the Poconos, and that was pretty cool.
I've gone to the Poconos twice, actually. My father-in-law was the marketing lead for Gillette.
Okay.
And when they did the Young Guns thing,
I was a part of the Young Guns.
Where we actually shook hands before, believe it or not. But you were a young. Let me give you the year. I guess that's 2004, 5, maybe that range. So maybe later.
I was a young gun. I was later. I was a later young gun. So I wasn't until 2009.
Actually, I think that might still fall into the time. Actually, right. We got. Yeah. Actually, so nonetheless. So I've been to the Poconos, which is very kind of. It's got a really nice niche to it compared to other tracks.
It does,
from what I understand.
Yeah, it's got its own understanding. It's kind of more of like the. Churchill Downs, like old school, like horse track racing type thing, and that's kind of where they've kind of kept it.
Have you had huge success there?
Last 2 years, I won a race there last year. I won a race there this year.
And then were your first 2 wins up there?
Yeah. And
so now you're feeling it.
I think I'm feeling it. I think I got it. That's maybe? Right. So
awesome.
It's been a while getting to that point.
So number 18, currently leading the standings. How do you like? I'm not a deep, knowledgeable NASCAR fan, but I'll put it on at times. I like to know everything that's going on in life, and I know there was a big scoring change in the last couple of years. How do you personally, just as a human, forget about even your official answer that probably has to support the sport, like just as a guy, do you like the
Why
new
are you
sporting?
looking at the NASCAR guy?
I'm just looking at them because I'm just trying to figure out their reaction to me saying this is off the record, super on the record. How do you like it? Did you like the scoring style before, or do you like this one better?
So I like this one better.
Because?
So years ago, NASCAR history...
Yeah, educate Seth.
From the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way to 2004, it was all about whoever accumulated the most points throughout the entire season was your champion.
Right.
Boom, done.
More like the English Premier League of football in Europe, where like there was no playoffs.
Right, correct. There were no playoffs.
So when somebody really broke out and had a big time year, the last 2 or 3 or 4 races were done.
Yeah, the champion would be crowned 2 races before the end of the year.
Who's the earliest ever? Do you know? Whoever?
I would say
anybody in this room have a good set? Like did Gordon win like with 5 races to go? Then Richard Petty like win with 7. Like does anybody have the record?
I would guarantee you those exist. Yes. I don't know for sure. 98. Yeah.
How many races left?
Well, he won 13 races in 1998, and he probably won the championship at least, or secured it with like 4 races left to go.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the way the tour goes, are the same places in order? Did those last 4 like tracks always get hosed? Or last 2 tracks tend to have the ability to get hosed, or they might have thought also on the flip side have the biggest race of the year if the way the season played out.
Exactly.
Understood.
So it's kind of changed. So the schedule always opens with Daytona in the beginning of the year, and it always ends with Homestead in the end of the year right now currently.
Yes.
But anywhere in between those points, the races have changed through the course of me being in the sport now for the last 14 years and driving.
I see.
So the points used to be all the way throughout the year, right? Then they started doing points where you'd have like these playoff points where they would reset 10 guys. 10 guys would make the playoffs, and those guys would start back at 0, and the last 10 races were really what mattered for those guys, and they would race for a championship in those 10. Well, if you had 1 or 2 bad races in those 10, you pretty much almost eliminated yourself.
And did teammates, because I know you guys are in teams, did teammates, it must have gotten very strategic in those last 10 where other teammates were like doing things to other racers.
Sometimes to get eligible for the championship.
What about in the championship?
I never saw those moments really. But
in those last 10 races, everyone's racing.
Everyone is still racing.
But if I was your teammate, even if like as just a human, if I was really your teammate and you're the lead dog and you're going for it, and I know like Dale Jr.'s like kind of in it with you, kind of, sorta,
you're going to run him harder, right?
I mean, I don't want to like get politically incorrect, but I would like surely like him to not have a good race.
So you just run him harder. I mean, I wouldn't say you're going to deliberately crash the guy,
right,
but at least you'd race him harder,
yes.
right?
Yes, I would race him harder, and if I was completely out of it, which I was because I'm not one of those 10 guys, let's say I was like 13th, just for my own kind of competitive
13.
nature. My sister was born at 13, so I do like 13. But 5's my number my whole life. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, sure.
That's just the human spirit. Even if coach or owner, or even if you were like, yo, bro, like that's not the fucking rules of the sport, I'd be like, cool. I'd be like, fuck that. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
That's it.
Okay, so that's how it was. Now
it is kind of a mix of those together. So now you have the whole regular season, we can build up what's called like bonus points, playoff points. And so the more success you have, you win a race, you get 5 playoff points towards your postseason points.
I see.
So when you start the postseason, you've got these points built up of how your success was through the beginning of the year.
It's still 10 with 10 to go?
It's still 10 races with 10 to go.
But when we go to that first 10th or that 10th race to go, you might have like 29 points or
so right now I have 35, and there's going to be guys that are in the playoffs that have 0. Right. So I already have a 35-point jump.
I like that.
Right?
So I like that. That's a nice solid mix.
Right. So what they do then is you're still accumulating those bonus points through the final 10, so you can keep adding to that total. The guys that are down there at 0 could get 5, could get 10, whatever. They could get on a hot streak and get closer. And there's a reset every 3.
Okay. You guys had to throw this. I was cruising.
You were good, right?
I was so good,
right?
Kyle. I was
you
like, this makes so much fucking sense. I'm like, good job, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Here comes this horse shit of this. What is this?
It's a reset every 3 races.
But 3's not, like, why don't you make the final? It doesn't even work.
So what you do.
There's 10 races.
So you have 16 guys in, right?
Yes.
Are there eliminations? Okay, I can't even remember if there's eliminations. So you're not on the mic.
You're on the mic. Go ahead.
I got it.
Go ahead.
So it goes from 16 guys for the first 3 races, and then we're going to eliminate 4.
Oh my God. Okay.
Right. Then you go the next 3 races. You eliminate another 4.
I do like it. Okay.
And then you go the next 3 races. You eliminate another 4.
So there's a final 4.
There's a final 4 with 1 race.
With 1 race. Right. 9. Oh right. Yeah. And maybe a chance, or maybe somebody's locked it up based on these bonus points and things of that nature. Or if you crash out in that race, somebody can so that final race gets really hot.
Yes, the final race is all about the 4 guys that made it to the final race that are going to race for a championship.
But they have accumulated points. Like, could you
the last race is all 0. It's whoever beats who.
You.
Points matter.
So
points don't matter.
So wait a minute. You guys have gone completely to a American sport last
NFL, Super Bowl,
all of them.
Last game matters.
Really NFL.
Yeah.
Right, because even NBA, baseball, hockey, the other major
they all
sports
have game
7
sevens.
Right.
NFL.
You're in the NFL business now.
One and done.
So wait, what I'm hearing, which sounds right, which I honestly, I'll be very honest, as a hardcore sports fan of football and basketball, big boxing, other things, this and that, all of a sudden, I think this is a good idea. I actually now, because of the education of this, have a far more likelihood of watching that last race.
Yeah.
Because it's like the reason you don't get into sitcoms. It's why binge watching is working with Netflix. Like back in the day when they didn't have that, if you missed the first 8 episodes of Wonder Years, you're like, do I really want to get into it? Like,
you're
maybe I'll
already
catch
behind the 8
reruns
ball.
in the summer. Right.
Yeah. Now you can be behind the 8 ball for the entire season and then go to the last race and go, okay, these 4 guys, got it. Whoever's going to beat whoever, got it. Okay, done.
But God, one more time. This is where this one thing freaks me out, though, which I think is fascinating, actually. That final race isn't just the 4 of you racing against each other.
Correct.
That's some fucking crazy shit.
Okay.
I'll say it again. Forget about even teams. You and I grew up in the same town. go-karts and all that shit that you guys do like
Yeah.
on the way up.
Yep.
You're just my homie.
We could be homies or we could be haters.
No,
I mean,
fair enough. But let's just say, for
Yeah.
this story
We're
that I'm about to
friends.
paint, we
Got
are
it.
real friends. Like,
Got
our
it.
wives are fucking best friends.
Yeah.
Like, our firstborns have each other's first name as the middle name. We are homies.
Okay, got it.
I'm in this race. I'm out of it this year. I clearly know which 3 guys you're racing against. It's inconceivable to me that I'm not in that race thinking about what nuances without crashing, obviously, but what other thing could I do to impact you winning this championship? And I'm not saying this is, by the way, for everybody listening, this is not a bad thing. I love things that are complex. That is really complex.
That is very complex, yeah. So last year I got into a little mix-up with a guy in Las Vegas, the third race of the year, right? And it comes all the way down to Homestead. I'm in the Final Four. I have a chance for the championship. There's the guy leading the race. There's this guy that I had an argument with, and then I'm running third. It took me 12 laps to pass the guy to get into second place to go run the guy down that was leading the race, that was leading the championship, that I'm racing for the championship. You must win this race to win the championship. And I couldn't get there in time because I wasted so much time passing the other numbskull.
I love it.
I hear you.
No, listen, I'll tell you why I love it. I love it because I'm thinking if I grew up in a different family and different circumstance and grew up with this sport the way I did with a different sport, or to be very frank, I think, listen, this is my whole thesis on NASCAR, baseball, and everything else. And you how old are you?
33.
Great. So you grew up as a child in a golden era of NASCAR.
Absolutely.
On the
Yep.
You know, I was such a hardcore. I'm 42. I was such an early user of ESPN. I'm talking like 1984 when it was like bull riding and like not with the ESPN that we grew up with.
Yeah.
I by accident consumed a lot of NASCAR because they did a lot of NASCAR,
They
right?
did, absolutely.
Which was the reason it grew, right? Like I knew who Bill Elliott was. Right,
He was the sport's most popular driver, so you should 16 years in a row.
Yeah, so but you have to understand, I grew up in Jersey where like NASCAR. Listen, I'm in the 80s and 90s. Like when you said NASCAR, people were like, "What?"
Yeah.
So so nonetheless, I think that what I just heard is exciting because it's clearly you articulated super well, and I think that storytelling. The reason people watch the WWE is the stories.
They want to know what happens next, right?
Of course, it's a male soap opera. The reason sports is so amazing.
Divas too.
Fair. It's the reason sports are so amazing is it's real life drama.
Yes. In the moment, live. It's live action, right?
You being such a great all-time driver, you fall into the class for sure that people either really love you or they hate you because they love somebody else that challenge you as a top 5 racer. So for me, I'm just sitting now thinking, if I hate you or I want one of the other 3 guys to win that race, I'm enjoying the living shit out of those 12 laps watching that drama because that's real. And because I'm a hardcore fan, I know exactly why it's happening. Me, Johnny Come Lately, who's going to watch now this year, clearly, I'm not going to enjoy it as much because I don't know the drama. Now, the announcers may do a good job and fill me back in.
Yeah.
And the beauty of 2018, I may go to YouTube and try to see the clip real quick.
Exactly.
And be like, oh shit, they really hate each other. This is awesome. So that's cool. I like that.
There you have it. Well, it's action-packed. It's all the time, man.
Get out of here with the
gotta
commercial
tune in every
stuff.
single week.
No, listen, I'm too busy. Well, actually, you know what? The Sunday thing works.
I'm not talking to you.
Well, I know you're talking to the masses. Yeah. Listen, you're winning me over, and if you win me over, I think I can bring more than one person. Andy, you want to get really into NASCAR with me?
Let's go.
See?
He's like just looking at him, like he's totally NASCAR.
What, he's a white dude? Or
Exactly. Yes.
You grew up in Virginia,
He's like the whitest white guy in the room almost.
You grew up in Virginia. Which
Exactly, my point.
That's just a hair too north, right?
Just a hair too north.
Where's the Mason-Dixon line?
This North Virginia.
Is it like the North Carolina, Virginia line? Is that the line? Where's Mason-Dixon?
Yeah, it's North Carolina, Virginia.
All right, well, you're
But
right.
I personally take the start of the North at North Virginia. It's just
Understood.
so different.
Who'd you love growing up?
Jeff Gordon was my guy.
Period.
Well, I liked the sport as a whole. Like I liked all
Why?
the drivers.
Your parents were into it.
My dad was into it. He was a really, really good race car driver in Las Vegas, where I grew up. That's where I was born and raised.
Oh, I knew that, right.
He won races. He won championships. He was a really, really good amateur race car driver. He never made it professional. He never got a break, never got found. There wasn't this whole social media presence, right? So I always just kind of followed in. My brother followed in his footsteps first, and then I kind of followed in after that as well. And the whole family's been into racing. So when we were always watching races on Sunday, sitting down, whatever, I was a fan of the sport. I just enjoyed it. But when I
Were you a fan of any other sport?
Yeah. I'm a fan of all sports.
But like, what's your second favorite sport?
Football.
And
then baseball.
And who do you like?
The Denver Broncos.
And are you going to do any? So you're in a real interesting pickle.
Okay, why?
If you're a Las Vegas-born Denver Broncos fan and the Raiders are moving to Vegas, you've got a weird fucking situation.
You're not the first guy to tell me this.
And so what's going through your mind?
I'm a Broncos guy.
Respect.
I'm going to the hometown to see some Broncos games.
I really loved you up into this point. You're a really nice guy. I've got a little bit mad now, but I'm hoping you're a hair young, but I don't think you are. You easily remember the 98 AFC Championship game against the Jets when you were losing 10-0 because you were like, what? That was 98. What are we in now? 2000?
That would have been...
You're 13.
13, yeah.
Do you remember that game?
I don't remember that game.
I can see you don't fully remember it.
I don't remember that game,
Good.
no.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So you grew up, you're into it, and do you feel because your dad was a really, really good driver and your brother was really in the sport as well, was he solidly good too?
He races on the Cup Tour with me.
Well, fuck, so he's very good. Like, I always am fascinated by the youngest of that lineage. I think there's a high percentage of people at the professional sports level that have had the luxury of dad, older brother, just because of the DNA, the evolution, and just the competitive nature of when you're lucky enough. And this, obviously with racing, you're going to understand it better than I do, the one-on-one nature, but like, it's fascinating when you have an older brother or sister for that matter in all sports, actually sister brother sometimes. Reggie Miller had the luxury of his sister being the greatest female basketball player. You just get better. You get better because you're advanced. Do you feel like you were affected by that?
I do because, so my dad raced, my brother raced, they raced together. So then I was always kind of the one in the grandstands, not old enough to be in the pits. So I'm video recording the whole race and going over and filming it. So then we take it home and we watch it and we dissect it. We go through it. So I'm listening and learning and watching and taking all of that in at a younger age.
100%.
And then when it's my turn to do it, I've already got that knowledge ahead of time. I'm ahead of the game.
100%.
Yeah. So people would say that I'm better than Kurt. So
how much is the physical, it's so clearly a big time mental sport. Mm-hmm. How much is physical? I don't know. I'm actually just genuinely,
it's still physical for sure. I mean, like the
how
whole,
so?
Because like, unless you're under a caution, but like the whole time you're driving, you're tensed
as fuck, right?
Like you're like holding onto the wheel. You're like making small movements, sometimes quick movements.
Is it hot as shit in there?
It's absolutely hot. Yeah, it's getting hotter.
Like
too.
how much weight do you lose after a race?
I've seen guys from 7 to 11 pounds lose weight.
That's awesome.
Water weight during the race.
That's a good thing. Next time I don't eat as well as I like for a month, I might just go get the course.
Go for a run and don't stop until you lose 7.
A race earlier this season, 160 degrees in the car.
He says 160 because the thermometer shut off at 159.9.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, it was hot.
Like, do people get is there like a worry about it getting too hot and people fainting and shit?
It happens.
Yeah, sure.
Guys got to get out.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody got out in that race, but yeah. Like lower divisions, I think we're all accustomed to it. We've all been around it long enough.
Pit? Those dudes are fucking amazing.
The pit crew guys, it's certainly come a long ways.
Right?
It used to be just guys that worked on your car. Now they don't even work on the car. They are strictly athletes. They are solely there for pitting the car.
A specific thing.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah,
like,
tire changers.
Are people like, I'm the left tire motherfucker? Or is it all 4 tires?
It's front versus rear.
But I'm a rear tire dude. Like, I may be like at an airport stuck and delayed, see some dude and be like, hey, what do you do? He's like, I'm a rear tire changer for this car number 18.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah. We fly private, but yeah.
Respect. Because you guys you're in a big team. Not everybody in the league flies private.
That's right.
That's what happens when you win.
Yeah.
So how, and actually, you want to get into a question? Yeah. This is so fun though. Hold on, because actually I need to do more of these kind of videos where I'm like dangerously knowledgeable, but not really. It's kind of like more fun for me.
Did you Google me or did you just go to like NASCAR.com?
No. I didn't do anything. I flat out know who you are. And
okay.
But you're right. Like as soon as you said your brother's name, like right, I've heard like that clicked.
Okay.
But like what was super interesting for me is my whole life I've wanted to buy the New York Jets, and deep down.
How close are you?
It's interesting. I'm not that close, and then but I'm doing things that make me feel close. So this whole company is being built to buy like Sprite and then flip it, or Puma. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm pouring all my money back into this machine, so it doesn't look in my bank account like I'm that close.
Right. Yeah.
But I've got
equity.
But I've got the equity that can convert very quickly in a 20-year window.
That's good.
I always thought that one of the weird ways I was going to buy the Jets was to do something in an emerging sport, ride the wave of the equity growth and flip it. So like the inside joke with my family that a lot of them know was I always joked that I would buy the Milwaukee Bucks. And I was super right. Like NBA teams have exploded in value in the last decade, and that would have been the right bet. Soccer, MLS, when Steve Ross, who owns the Dolphins, bought a piece of VaynerMedia, and he owns this whole $20 billion Hudson Yards thing, in the negotiation, I negotiated with him with the rights to be his partner to own the Miami MLS team.
Okay.
It was done. It was awesome. And then Beckham retired. And in his clause when he came from Europe was he could get a team given to him in any market, and he picked Miami. So that fucked me up. And then
Do you hate him for that?
An enormous amount, actually.
Okay, yeah, I would too, probably.
And then finally, I always thought about NASCAR, and what was interesting to me was the way.
You want to buy a team?
Well, it's
I got
interesting.
one.
But your team is probably super expensive.
My Truck Series team. You can buy that.
Oh, your Truck Series team. I know you're trying to. I understand that. That's different. What I'm interested in with NASCAR actually is that I always felt that marketing was my arbitrage, and I thought I could buy a junior team or start one and disproportionately bring in revenue from brands get a lot more money in than I deserved based on the drivers I had at first.
Sure.
So I've always had, I also, when the dollar stores first came to America, this was in the early 90s, they actually had real stuff, not the stuff they now make for the dollar store. And one of the best flips I ever had was I bought a ton of NASCAR figures. Okay. The reason I really know Bill Elliott, is because I would buy Bill Elliott figures at the dollar store.
Well, those were probably the easiest ones to get because they were what all over them?
White.
White?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's how I remember it, but I could be wrong. I thought he was white and blue. Is it possible that he was not sponsored by McDonald's his whole career?
Like before, yeah, but I don't know that they had
1989?
figurines. That would have been Coors.
Yeah. Pull up Bill Elliott action figure. Watch this. This is going to be fucking fun. This is getting I got quiet because I'm now focused. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway,
Here,
I'll continue to tell the story. During those action figure days, these are all the new ones. Red, right, not this shit. This is all new shit. This is let me go 19.
Look up retro.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1988.
They didn't have those back then.
Brother, I'm telling you right now, they look like Bush League starting lineups. You're going to shit when I show you, when I find one. NASCAR figures 80s. Let's do that. NASCAR figures 1990s.
We're stalling.
I don't care because it's super worth it. While I'm stalling, I'm so fucking obsessed now to find this shit.
That one?
Nope. That's a bobblehead, bro. It's not an action figure.
It's not a bobblehead. They didn't have bobbleheads back then either.
Yes, dude, bobbleheads are from the 60s. They fucking
Not NASCAR ones.
You millennials. All right, so
I'm not a millennial.
Dude, you are. You're
I am not a
Yes, you are.
millennial.
You're an older millennial.
I'm not lazy and don't work.
Don't brand them that way. I'm a big fan of millennials. I think people shit on them, but a lot of them
I just
work.
did, I guess.
I know, you did. Okay, let me see. No, dude. I'll find him. We'll edit it into here when we find it. I don't want to stall. Back to your point, I appreciate you enjoying speed as well. Talk to me about how you think about, so you are one of the dominant racers in the sport, so you have endorsement deals and other business ventures outside the track. How are you seeing the social media thing? When I think about you and I think about A-list actors and other people that are at the top of their sports, they tend to look down on social because they're making bigger economics, making a commercial, doing appearance fees. But recognizing that is potentially your filter, how do you see it overall? Because I see it as the way we build up the long tail of a bunch of the kids that are emerging that maybe aren't on the biggest teams. They may be funny or good looking. It might not be just what they do on the track. What is, I know enough about you as well from an entrepreneurial kind of you're not a schlemiel. Back to the comment you made about the millennials thing. I have a feeling your post-racing career could be as grand as your racing career. One of the reasons I was excited to have you here. So I know a little more than I lead on to. How do you think about the social media thing, the digital age, all of this stuff while you're answering?
You went into such a huge circle that there's so many different ways I can answer that.
I'm fast too. I might not do it on track, but.
So in the beginning, let's start with, yes, I fortunately have made it in a perfect enough time that I still have a decent sized contract where I can make pretty good money. But there's still also the PSAs and the other things that are on the side that you still have the social presence. Everybody is all about social right now, and they're all talking about how to continue to not only market ourselves and how we can add value to our sponsors, but then how our sponsors will utilize that social and that social presence,
Correct.
the amount of followers and everything that we have to continue to elevate their brand and everything that they've got going.
And so how do you think about that?
For me, it's a great mix, and with my partners, I couldn't think of a better mix that I could have with Mars, which is M&M's, Skittles, Snickers, and those folks, because we're actually doing a throwback scheme for the Darlington race, which now is like all about obviously throwbacks, but it depends on the era in which different drivers choose to do their throwbacks from, and mine is Skittles. It's a Skittles race this year, so we're doing an Ernie Irvan 1998 throwback scheme. Well, Skittles did a whole video presentation. We filmed it and produced it at Joe Gibbs Racing and helped our sponsor launch it through digital presence. No commercial, no going to ESPN, no here, where, or wherever.
Sorry to cut you off. Racing Champions.
Well, that's Richard Petty.
I know that. I have to find the Bill Elliott one.
Okay.
But that's what they look like.
I follow now.
Got it?
Okay, I'm with you.
Anyway,
they did exist.
You know
they were small.
You know what's amazing? This is even better for me that I found this one because it has, the one I found on the internet has the Kmart sticker on it, $4.48. I used to go to the dollar store at the Phillipsburg Mall, buy them for $1, then walk across the mall and return them to Kmart for $4.48 without a receipt. No receipt, and they gave me cash. I did this to the tune of about making $4,000 to $8,000 until finally, like a year and a half into this racket, they were like, "Hey, we now have a new policy. You need to have a receipt."
Yeah.
Which
So
was devastating.
You started the whole receipt game.
Yeah, I think I did. And then, well, at least in Phillipsburg Mall, Kmart. And then what I did was I bought one for $4.48 and kind of manipulated that receipt to be able to use it to continue it. So I was unfazed by the receipt scandal of 1991.
Is that never mind?
So it's probably illegal, but when you're 14, like, you don't know.
Yeah, and it's not illegal when you're 14. But
Right, and
it
the
still could
statute.
be.
I'm good now, right? Like, I should be okay. That's okay. That's on the record. All right. Talk to me about the thing you're most excited about in the sport, and then we're going to go to our first question.
I think what's really, really cool about today in our sport is it's starting to mimic a lot of what was going on in the 70s, where you had these really big, powerful 3, 4, 5 guys in the sport that would win all the races, but then there was some more of the other drivers, they're not less drivers, they're not less funded, but the next tier, right? And when would they be able to come in and either A, steal wins, or B, beat these top 3? It's the top 3, the big 3 right now in our sport. But when would they be able to beat those
teams,
guys?
Or big 3 as racers
drivers.
like you, Jimmy?
So myself, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. have won 16 of the last 21 races.
Holy fuck. One more time?
16 of the last 21.
The other 2 dudes? Because I would have.
Kevin Harvick.
You notice how I said Jimmy because I still thought, because I'm not paying as close attention. You,
Kevin Harvick,
who's a big deal, who I'm aware of. The third guy I haven't heard of yet.
Martin Truex Jr.
Martin what?
Martin Truex Jr.
His last name's Truex.
He's a Jersey guy.
His last name's Truex?
Yes.
And he's a Jersey guy?
He's from Jersey.
He's my favorite racer.
I would imagine so, yeah. I'll introduce you.
Please, DM me. His last name's Truex?
Yes.
That's fucking amazing. Like, you could do so much marketing with that. Okay. And you hate him, right?
No,
you like him as a guy, but you want to bash his fucking face.
On the racetrack?
Yes.
Okay, I'll admit that.
Thank you. Of course.
He's actually kind of my teammate, but...
Oh, that whole weird dynamic, which
Yeah.
I like. But the other guy's not your teammate.
No,
Is he black and yellow? The other guy?
He's what is he?
I'm trying to think about.
He's Busch beer.
Got it.
He's my last name. White and red.
Right, red. Okay,
Or white and black.
got it.
Jimmy John's white and black.
What's going on with Jimmy? He had a great career.
So
Is he
Jimmy's
starting
had
to
a
tail a little
phenomenal
bit?
career.
He's having a bad year.
Unfortunately, the Hendrick guys have kind of tailed off a little bit. So
Is that right?
Yeah, the Hendrick group, the whole group,
Is not having a good
They haven't
run.
won in over 365 days.
Shit, that's
like the first time ever.
They're freaking out over there.
Oh yeah.
Are they blaming who are they blaming?
They're not blaming anybody.
They're
but
blaming
themselves.
somebody.
They're working hard, man. They're trying to turn it around.
All right, blame themselves the way that's winter talk, but they're blaming somebody like the fucking car manufacturer or something.
Chris.
Why are you calling
Chris?
me?
California.
Chris who? From California?
Hello, this is Chris.
Chris, you're on with Gary and Kyle.
How are you guys?
Hey, what's
Kyle,
up?
You are the man.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
What about me, bro?
No,
You're just you.
You're the mentor, the guru. Well, I won't use guru.
There we go.
But Kyle, I've corrupted my 13-year-old into watching you back in the Monster Energy days, and also when you were running the 54 on the truck.
Oh, there
Love
you go.
it.
Nice.
Love it. Real fans. What's your question, my friend?
I am a very big car enthusiast, let alone I guess we call it NASCAR super fan.
Okay.
But more importantly, I am starting a podcast with Rodney Allen Rippey from Jack in the Box fame, and he is a huge car fan.
Okay.
We have gone out and done the social media test marketing, we'll call it, with the nostalgia that you're so big in.
Yep.
And it's gone very, very well. When
Makes
it's
sense.
his face, his name, anything to do with the past and the history, we do very well. And if it's a new current face we put him with in just about anything. But we got one great shot of launching this. We're going to do it in SEMA 2018 this year.
You're already over.
But where
Let me give you a very good piece of advice. Do not put that fake pressure on yourself that you have one chance to launch this thing. It's the biggest mistake that people make with media properties and businesses. They think there's this, especially if you haven't done it before, or it's natural human nature, right? You want to come out the gate. It's probably no different than starting Daytona off on the right foot, everything. Like when I
You want to win right away. You ain't going to win right away. You got to build into it.
I really don't want. Here's why I'm most worried about it, my friend. I don't want you to do behaviors that so overvalue the short term in something where you're playing for life. You're trying to build something that you hope pays for your livelihood around a passion you have, I assume, right? The idea is you'd love for this to be, whether it's a podcast or a media property, this is what you do for the rest of your life, making the kind of money that lets you live the lifestyle you want. Is that correct?
It's one of a few components. I am definitely on your, willing to eat shit as long as it takes mode.
Good. So then I would say everything sounds great. Don't over worry about the launch, because it may be episode 96 that really turns the tide. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And
absolutely.
The luxury you have is that you don't work for a television network. Like ESPN didn't buy the rights to you, and then the ratings were bad after 3 and they cancel it. You have full control of content and distribution. You don't have to worry about popping because you're not at the mercy of Nielsen ratings and advertisers and all the other dynamics that traditional media had to worry about. If you had a radio show, 20 years ago around this subject matter, if your first 6 weeks didn't go well, you're finished. I mean, here in New York, Mike Francesa was the legendary sports guy. He left, retired. They put in a show. It lasted like 5 weeks, and Francesa was back because the ratings weren't there. You don't have that. So I think before you even ask the question to make the launch pop, make sure that you realize you don't need the launch to pop. It'd be nice for it to be great, but don't over worry about that.
Perfect. No, I really appreciate that, because it's to the point where I've got some good guests lined up and things, and we're going out at a really good time. It's just a matter of I didn't want to leave those 4 other things on the table, partly because I didn't know what these next 4 things should be. So that's helped out very well.
Good. Yeah, let it come to you. I think, Kyle, just for fun here, just because I love sports and like strategy and the story, I promise you in 19 years, when I run into you on something, I'm going to recall this because I don't forget things that hit me. The fact that you recorded those races, it was over before it started. You were so mentally knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It's how I think about everything. That's such a remarkable advantage that you had.
I would presume that that's why I could be as good as I am today, but I would say that it's also due to a lot of hard work over the course of the years, right?
No question.
But there was a basis, there was a start. So
just knowing how the chess moves played out.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you a question based on that, and this is going to help Chris here a little bit. I'm very curious about how you handle a bad start to a race. Mm-hmm. And just to me, the psychology of everything is so interesting. I just know for fact, without knowing any of the racers, that there's a certain percentage of guys who, if it doesn't start right, are just in a bad place.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely. I've had those moments. I would admit that when something bad starts and it doesn't quite go right, that it's like, it's over before it started or whatever. You start cussing on the radio and throwing everything all over the place.
Yelling at somebody on the team.
Right? Throwing people under the bus, whatever it might be. But, sometimes you can work your way back out of those.
What is the greatest work your way out of race of your career?
Oh, man.
Just really go there with me right now because I think it's interesting. Do you remember a race or maybe Like like the first 10 laps, or fucking, I don't know, like all 4 tires fell off the car in the first lap, and then you won it. Like, if you like really thought, I'm buying you some time here to think, really thought about like, what's the race that I won in my career on the big stage that in the series, not earlier than that I did not think I was, like the one that I most did not think I was going to win.
There's plenty of those out there, but.
But that has a.
I would say that there was a race at Watkins Glen years ago where the first few pace laps, like you're scrubbing your tires back and forth, you're speeding up, slowing down, trying to warm your brakes up and stuff.
Okay.
And you feel that the lead within the frame rails of the car to make the car make weight to go over scales is loose. Like nobody put the spacers in there that hold the lead tight against the bolts. So it's sliding forward when you're on the brakes and it's going backwards when you're on the gas. So it keeps moving and it's a big slam. Like this is 80 pounds sliding around in the frame rail of the car.
I have no idea what he's saying, but it sounds so fucking smart. Keep going.
So we had to come down pit road before the race started and actually take the bolt out of the frame rail, put the spacers in there to space it back where it needed to be, put the bolt back in, and I had to start in the back, and I came back through, and I don't recall if I won that one, but I know that I finished.
What the fuck? That was the whole point of it.
I know, well.
Dude, what you
I know I finished top 5, but I don't remember if I finished second.
Tell me the truth. When you
remember.
first started telling the story, you thought you won, and as you were telling it, you're like, fuck, wait a minute, maybe I didn't win. And these internet dudes are like in there like, fuck you, dude, you came in third, 13 seconds off the pace.
Which one? Well, yeah.
Hold on. What? He broke his foot and won the race? And won the race.
Okay, no.
Okay.
No, it's different than that.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Get in here. Chris, get in here. What was it?
It was Daytona, had a bad crash, was out a good portion of the season.
And the first race he came back?
Probably some of the most determined person there is in racing. He came back and pointed his way into the championship and won it.
I also won races, by the way, to get my way back in.
I get that.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So what, you think Kyle's really awesome, right? Like, does your son like obsess over Kyle?
Yeah, more so in trucks and Busch because they're shorter races and he doesn't have the attention span. But that's why he started back when Kyle was still running the 54.
Yeah. Yep. Those were the truck
and
days.
I understand.
The other thing is Kyle's got 92 wins in the secondary series of what I'll call the Busch series.
Okay.
And we went so often that he watched Kyle win every weekend when we were there live.
Let's actually talk about this. So you're telling me your son is a front runner and jumps on bandwagons?
No, he started in diapers at 2 years old watching Kyle.
I love it. So that means you made him watch Kyle, because I don't know any 2-year-old that's like, oh, there's Kyle, I'm going to be a fan.
He loved Hot Wheels, and Hot Wheels were live, and they were racing around the track.
This is a good battle, Chris. I respect where you're coming from. Listen,
M&M's, that had something to do with it, probably.
Chris, let me give you a piece of advice. It sounds like you're also doing some content with new faces. When you do that, run Instagram and Facebook ads to the tune of $100 to $1,000 a piece around people that are fans of those things.
Okay.
So, like, for example, I'll take this Ask Gary Vee show and we will run this episode on Facebook and Instagram against fans of...
We're doing it with the live right now.
We're doing it with the live right now. We're running ads against this live right now against what?
NASCAR, Kyle.
So it's really what's amazing about the new world is Kyle's getting new exposure to my world and all the entrepreneurs that are watching. And honestly, I think what's most interesting to me is entrepreneurs tend to be very creative and get caught into storytelling. I'm just fascinated how many people are going to actually now watch or become fans off of this. That's how it all works, and vice versa. You'll be able to do that with the people that you put the new faces on with him. So make sure you do that as well, okay?
Absolutely, yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm not a bandwagon guy.
I know you're not. No, I was making a joke, brother.
My dad was a senior fan. My mom was a DW fan, so for the NASCAR people, they'll know that.
Yep.
Nice.
I was an Alan Quickie fan, and unfortunately, he passed away as a champion in a crash at Bristol. And I followed this guy called Jeff Gordon, so I've been around there forever.
Heard there. I respect that, buddy. I'm
There you go.
joking around.
Nice.
Take care.
Right on, man. Thanks.
Good guy. Let's get another one like that, Andy. That was probably the best call you've ever picked. You've been cold. You're kind of like Jimmy and the Hendricks team. You're cold right now, and so you need to like pick it up. So wait a minute, this guy's last name is Truex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. And what do you don't know what part of Jersey he's from, do you? Can somebody Google that for me?
Alpharetta? Is
that
right?
right?
Yeah. Mayetta.
Mayetta? Yeah.
Mayetta, New Jersey.
Like,
Alpharetta,
I was
that's
like,
Georgia.
Yeah, it is Georgia. I was like, why do I know that? My friend Moose lives in Alpharetta, Georgia. By the way, Atlanta traffic sucks shit.
So does Charlotte, man. I-77 is terrible.
You hate it?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
The Broncos-Raiders thing, huh? I'm telling you, that's going to become a big deal.
Hey, I don't know, man.
Do you love Bryce Harper? Because he's from Vegas?
He's from Vegas. He's cool. Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah. He's a good dude.
He's a really good dude.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that guy. I think the baseball system has suppressed how much of a superstar he is as a person, and I'm fascinated.
He's like one of the only baseball players that I even know of today.
Did you catch that whole controversy where the commissioner of baseball kind of threw Mike Trout, one of the best, if not the best player, kind of under the bus during the All-Star weekend, saying it's up to him to build his personal brand too?
I missed that.
It's very interesting because I do think baseball and NASCAR actually, very ironically, are in very similar spots in different ways where there's so much gold and it just needs to be mined a little different, a little more contextual, a little more storytelling. Like to me, you and this dude that blocked you for 12 fucking laps, you guys need to go into a steel cage arm wrestling live on Facebook.
We kind of did.
In week 3. You
in
fought?
Week 3,
Did you throw your helmet at his face?
I didn't throw no helmet. I threw something
Punch?
else. Yeah.
Have you guys, where are you guys now? Because I once punched my brother AJ on a basketball court, and I've never really said it because I don't want to admit it actually happened, but it actually, you were there, Andy, for that one?
I've heard the story.
You were there for that one, or I think this was before when you guys played?
One of you three against the wall. I don't know who threw who.
Here's the bottom line. I understand the difference between the heat of the battle and real life. Like, I die for my brother, AJ, and I've done like remarkable things that I feel very proud of for my brother.
Yeah.
But I really, kind of weirdly punched him for a boxing out situation that I thought was inappropriate. So are you cool with this guy, or is it still lingering and there's a real heated controversy still brewing?
He tried to put a kibosh to it because he
I respect that.
didn't really want any more lingering after he boxed me out.
Which he
of
should
the
have, because that's
championship
just
race.
let me ask you a question, because I want to learn. I want to learn the sport through your experiences.
Okay.
Let's say you guys didn't have that little beef in week 3.
Yeah.
Would it have been like the unwritten rule for him to let you have that chance to try to win it if you guys were teammates?
So
or
he
if
first
he
and
wasn't
foremost,
a teammate, yes.
So he first and foremost should go out there and try to win the race. If he's going to go out there and try to win the race and he's going to be catching that guy that's in front of him, more power to him to stay in front of me.
Respect.
When he's falling back and that guy out front is getting farther away and I'm up his ass trying to pass him
And he's trying
air
not letting-
blocking me,
Yes.
that's bad.
And that was that bad.
Not bad. I mean, he
I
can
got
do
it.
whatever he wants, but
As he
it
should.
pisses me off,
I'm
right?
telling you, this final race thing. Let's make it a real VaynerMedia thing. Let's just let's get really into the final race of the year. When is it?
Homestead, November 18th-ish.
On a Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
That's a problem.
See?
Well, the Jets are playing. Now, what time?
It'll
I don't know if you know
be
this, Kyle. I don't know if you know
3
this.
o'clock
Let me
start, probably.
off your reaction. I just want you to understand. I got married in November and went on my honeymoon in February in case the Jets made the playoffs. Both of my children.
Why would you ever need to do that?
Stop it. Don't make me become a fan of the number guy who blocked you for 12 rounds. I also have 2 children born in summer months and literally not like by accident. Like my life revolves around the
Did you have
Jets.
IVF babies or no?
No, but we
You just
strategized.
You practiced during that time of year.
We focused on that time of year more than practice. It was like try to achieve non-baby life during football season because I would pick the Jets over my children's birthday parties.
Okay.
That's firm. So your fucking Homestead is the easy one for me. Now, what time is Homestead?
Probably 3 o'clock.
Check November 18th Jet schedule right now. Because you know what? Is that their
Why don't
bye
we-
week? I might go to
Just look up
Homestead
what
if
week
it's
it is for sure. It's around. I don't know if that's the day. Is that the day? Give me the Sunday.
This is very important right now. The Jets are on a bye. Are the Jets on a bye?
November 18th, 3 o'clock start.
The Jets are on a bye. This is a fucking sign. I'm going to go crazy at Homestead. Where is it?
Exactly.
No, where is it?
Exactly.
In Miami?
It is not in Miami.
It's in Homestead, Florida?
It's Miami, Homestead, Florida. Yeah, it's like an hour from Miami.
We all went last year, Gary. You missed out.
What's this? We all went. What's this? We all went.
They all together
I know,
didn't
but how
invite
many-
you
how
to
many-
go to the race.
It was like 8 of us from.
And this was last year when you got blocked?
Yeah.
And when he was getting blocked, did you understand what the fuck was going on, Hannah?
Yeah.
And were we like, this is super controversial? I know she didn't. All right. So clearly breaking news. There's a significant chance I'm going to be in Homestead. My wife's watching this right now and being like, this fucking guy, the only bye week when our family actually can have a normal
get
weekend.
together, yeah.
Now he has to go to fucking Homestead. Anyway, All right, let's get one more question in. This is too fun. Are you good at social media, or do you let a team take care of it? Like, do you personally go in there? Will you do anything?
I do a little bit.
Like, what do you like to do? Twitter or Instagram? What do you like to do?
I don't even know how to post on Instagram.
Jesus Christ.
I have a guy. He's behind you.
I get it, but like...
I go on Twitter.
You know what that was to me? That's like me saying to you, like, I don't know how to drive a car at all. That was literally what you just said, just so you know.
You live in New York. Do you know how to drive a car?
Of course, I grew up in Jersey. I really know how to drive a car.
Okay, yeah. One that has scratches and dents.
I'm ridiculous. Actually, you know what?
What do you drive?
I drive a Land Rover.
Okay.
Like, not a car that, like I've never driven, like, I'm trying to think if I've had anything sporty. I had Lincoln once made a sports car for like 4 minutes. It was the craziest thing out of nowhere, from like the big fucking huge town car in like the late 90s, which was fast. I loved it. But yeah, I didn't grow up like car oriented or racing. What I'm crazy though about the way I drive is actually completely wild. Can somebody find Nate or Phil Toronto? Actually, find Nate or Phil Toronto right now, Alex. See if Nate or Phil are out there. This is actually very important because I think I'm gonna impress.
What if people are not gonna answer your call because they don't know what phone number's calling?
Then we say fuck you, and they fucking missed it. They're gonna be so. Imagine how pissed they are
they're
right
looking
now.
at their phone. They're like, leave a message. I don't know who this is.
Done. See ya. Are they coming through? I want one of those two. I really hope they're there because I think that you're an all-time great racer, and I still think at the end of a Jets game, to get back to my apartment, I think I can beat you. Because I am completely and utterly out of control.
Beat me like after a race?
No, I mean like,
after a Jets game, beat you back to your apartment.
Correct, because it's not racing. It's
right.
understanding traffic and being willing to break every law.
You have every advantage
That's
over
right.
me.
Well, I'm trying to win this. They're not here? Anyway, I like drive on curves. I like go I'm really into time.
Yeah, see TV. I was gonna say we could make a TV show about that, or not a podcast, but a vlog about that. But it's against the law, so like.
But let's just do it,
get a ticket.
and then like be renegades. What?
So I did this one thing one time. There was a radio show host out of Washington D.C. and they would bring in celebrities and stuff, and they would do like a beltway race.
Okay.
So like you start at one point, you start at the radio station, you get on the beltway, you go around the beltway for a lap, you come back to the radio station, right? So all the cops are like standing on overpasses and they're looking and whatever. So they're talking like we're live on the car phone.
That's amazing.
Back to the radio station.
Yeah.
So they're asking us like, okay, well, where are you at? Blah, blah. So I'm leading and I'm like half a mile to almost 3/4 of a mile ahead of the other one behind me, right? Because I'm getting through traffic pretty good and stuff. So a cop pulls me over. And puts me on the side of the road, and I'm like, yeah, what did I do? Like, you didn't do anything. I'm just letting the other guy catch up. And I'm like, this is freaking rigged.
That's amazing.
Like, really?
Amazing.
So then as soon as the other guy passes me, he lets me go.
And you still won?
Well, no. So then the reason why this all ended is because we started racing, like on the street, racing like door to door and like getting back to the radio station. So he turns into the radio, traffic's coming, and he turns into the radio station, and I turn in underneath him, and I just door slam him. Like car to car, just door slam him, and I beat him back to the door.
You know, I got to tell you.
And so they were like, we can't do this anymore. Like, that's like too many liabilities and things like that. I was like, I didn't give a shit. I'm going to door the guy.
I'm very into you. You're now my favorite racer. Like, I would do that. That's
Absolutely.
right.
So, like we can't do that, though.
To me, Ivan Drago said it best. If he dies, he dies. I mean, listen, that's just a way to like live life. That's just a good way to live life. Are you getting a call?
He's trying.
All right, who's this? Amy? All right.
I wonder if I know this, Amy.
Wow, you door slammed. That's exactly right.
Do you do that? Do you door slam guys?
Listen, when I compete, I'm literally willing to do anything. So, chemicals change in my body.
Hi.
Hi, is this Amy?
Hi, Amy.
No, I'm not Amy.
Are you Amy?
Or is your mom Amy?
It might be Amy.
My mom's Amy.
Can you get her?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mom, she wants you. Whoever. I'm Everett. I'm Everett.
Oh, Everett. You're Everett. Hey, brother. How are you?
Hi.
How old are you?
I'm 7.
Amazing. Are you watching the Ask GaryVee show with Kyle Busch right now?
No, but I'm about to go over there.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
What is it?
How do you get into racing?
How do you get into racing? All right, good question. I mean, it's not very simple. It's not like going and being in Little League Baseball and picking up a bat and a glove and a ball and going and playing at your local field, right? So getting into racing is getting a go-kart. Like, it's expensive. Like, you have to go out and buy the things to be able to go out here and do that. So racing at the local level is where I started. I started in go-karts first. Messed around with those for a little bit, and then got into Legends cars. They're more expensive. Everything that you keep getting into is more and more expensive. But the reason why I kept moving up and getting into those things was because I kept winning in what I was racing in.
I was about to say, when you start winning at such a youth level, do sponsors start coming in and subsidizing families?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Not at my level. So when I was...
That's actually pretty neat that you started in go-karts.
Are you in go-karts?
Yeah.
You are?
Well, I'm not racing them, but I have a go-kart at home that I drive.
All
A
right.
four-wheeler.
Well, there you go. Heck yeah.
And are you going to be a NASCAR driver one day?
Yeah.
I really hope so.
And Baja and all kinds of things.
I
just wanted to race.
You just want to race? Well, that's all I ever wanted to do.
It doesn't matter what. I just want to race.
That's exactly right.
And why do you want to race?
I don't know. I just got into it, and
Is it because you like to win?
Well, I watched the Richard Petty wreck, and bam, racing started.
Oh, yeah?
Do you like beating other people in race? When you race, do you love destroying the other kid?
Well, every single time I race my go-kart, I've beat my dad on. He raced a four-wheeler. He races a four-wheeler. And he works on body shops. But I'm a racer.
Now,
They didn't know what racing was or anything.
Everett, do you think your dad's letting you win because you're such a little kid, or are you destroying your dad's face?
He's letting me win, but I don't want that.
You don't want that.
That's
Well,
right.
you
I
should
like
tell
this
him
guy.
to stop
Everett,
that.
what is your last name, Everett? Because it's very important, because one day when you're winning championships, I'm going to clip this, air it, and get millions of viral views.
My last name is Larson.
Wilson or Racing?
Well, our last name is Larson.
Very good. I didn't catch it. Everett, listen, thank you so much for calling.
That's awesome, man.
Now, Everett,
Hey,
You're welcome.
Everett, you go out there and you kick your dad's butt and tell him that you're the best, all right?
Okay.
Everett,
right.
before you go, tell Kyle to stay in racing long enough so when you get there, you destroy his face.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
awesome, man. Take care.
I'll give you 10 years, buddy.
Is that what do you think?
What's that?
Talk to me about, one thing I've been fascinated by in professional sports is when I was growing up, it was unheard of for guys to play at the highest level at 37, 39, 41. Conditioning, look, underlining performance enhancing drugs. There's a lot of things that may be contributing to this evolution of 365 cycles, guys not just taking, you guys are on all the time, but like drinking beer during the off season, how much longer do you think you can race? And do you feel like it is a young man's sport, or is there a fall off at a certain point?
I hope that.
That's
there
it?
you go.
That's him?
Nice.
He's
awesome. That's
man.
perfect.
He's amazing.
I hope that
Everett is amazing.
I hope that I get to go another 13, 15 years. I mean, I don't know. There was guys.
Who was the oldest and most competitive? Richard Petty seemed to be old at the time. Like
Richard fell off his last 8 years at least. So
who'd you say was the
Mark
best
Martin
oldest?
won at 53.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Rare. Yeah.
He won
Harry
a
Gant
He won a
before him at,
Winston.
like,
That was when it
52,
was
right?
Winston Cup.
He raced in the Sprint Cup. Yeah.
Oh right, then it was sprint.
2011 was his last year. 11
So
or
what?
12.
So what do you think? You think you've got that many years in you?
Also,
or?
I'm 33. I'm thinking like mid 40s. I'm probably about done. See,
And how do
a
you
lot
think-
of those guys
please.
though, they started older. So they started at 35, 33, 35.
Is
So
that right?
they
back
started
in the
racing
day?
Cup. Yeah.
Because
It
what?
just took them longer to get there, and because nowadays everybody gets there sooner. Like kids, they start sooner, 18, 20, 22, whatever. They're starting sooner, so then the sponsors can stick with them for longer, right?
I understand.
So back then it wasn't that way.
I totally understand.
Where now, so I started my first year in Cup, I was 18 years old. So if I was 18 when I started, those guys were 33. They retired at 53.
Bill Elliott's kid's in the game now, right?
He is.
How's
Chase. Yeah.
how's his career starting off?
Chase he's good. He's talented. He does a really nice job. He's very polished and talks well, but he hasn't won yet.
Right, until you win, you got to break through.
Yeah, he's been close. Actually, his closest that he was, I stole the win from him. So
You feel good about that?
I don't feel good about that.
What are you talking about? You should feel tremendous about that.
It was a badass finish. I mean, I must say, there was 40 laps to go, and I was 4 seconds back.
Was like the old school establishment that loved his dad super pissed at you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was Twitter fucking
People
Kyle.
were blowing me up like, screw him, he's an asshole.
You're such a
like
dick.
He should have let Chase win. And I'm like, should have
Should've
let him.
Chase
What?
win. I'll fucking punch Everett, the 8-year-old, in his face to beat him in any game we play tomorrow. There is no should let win.
Right, exactly. No more. There's no ribbons. There's no participation
Talk.
trophies.
Signature move after winning and the crowd's booing, you'll love it.
Because you're like, fuck you, crowd.
I do a bow.
Yeah.
Like, see, I'm from Vegas. The showmanship, like every show in Vegas ends with a
bow. Yeah,
like,
I love that.
Right. So
Yeah.
that was me. Yeah.
The booze are pouring down, Watkins Glen.
Oh,
So-
well, that's another one. So the
are
other
you-
one is
are
like the
you in bad-
crybaby.
Like now, see, if we do this a little longer, I'm actually gonna become like. Are you genuinely in like so good outside of everybody who's a fan of you basically hates you land?
Oh,
Are we
yeah.
in like John Cena land?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love
He
it,
has
dude.
just the crying eyes.
Yeah, dude, this is starting to get good. Problem for me is when I get into something new, I have to go with somebody who's not winning. Because it's too front running. I love that you're a dick.
Well, you've
so I'm
got
into
plenty
it.
to choose
That-
from.
So Chase is emerging. What about that gentleman I saw profile on SportsCenter one early morning because of my son? Now I'm watching SportsCenter again. The Japanese American dude, right?
Kyle Larson.
Yeah, talk to me about him.
He's good. He's won before. He won. So we go to Michigan next week, right?
He
So
won
that's
there
like
last
his
year?
track. He won there like 3 times in a row.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where he finished in the spring race there this year, but he's always fast there.
So he's having a solid, nice young career so far.
So this year he hasn't won a race this year, right? He hasn't.
So he's
Kyle
not
Larson.
accelerating the way that
Yeah. So
him and
last
his
year,
fans would hope.
last year I think he won 4 races. The year before that he won 2 or 3.
I see.
And this year they're all kind
I
of.
understand.
There's a lot of guys on a dry spell. I mean, 16 of 21 races have been won by the big
insane.
3. So.
And how this big 3 feels fairly new though to me. Like are the other 2 guys like
So-
the other guy I heard of, the Truex guy I haven't. So like, but that's
Yeah.
again, I'm not. How long has Truex been good?
2 years.
Right. So he's fairly new. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. What else?
You hate him, right?
I
I saw it. I saw it in your eye. I was so pumped right now. You want to fucking break his face. I love it. Dude, Kyle, honestly, it makes me love you so. By the way, bro, I'm serious. Again, the AJ thing. I'm telling you, like Andy, stuff he knows. Like I'm terrible on the court, or like I'm a bad dude when it comes to competing because I want to win so bad,
Yeah.
and that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to
you
do.
Did
That's
to
what
Chase,
happened, well.
what you did to Chase is exactly right. And by the way, do you know how I think? I think that probably helps Chase in the macro, or it doesn't. It exposes Chase. If he crumbles out of a devastating last-second loss, and then he was never meant to be great anyway. And if he's meant to be great, he'll fucking go on and fucking dominate and probably reference that race one day.
Absolutely. That's the way he should.
Who crushed your soul as a rookie? What was the closest win you had before you had a win that you got hurt? Or did you kind of not have that moment where it was like you kind of never were that close
So
and you just won your first race?
my first Busch Series race. So the first race I ran in the
Ever?
Xfinity Series.
Okay, help me there. That's a little confusing
It's
to me.
2000.
That's not the
It was 2003.
AAA. Got it.
What? I don't know how it goes. Does it go triple double? Okay, so AAA Xfinity Series, which
Which is the
then-
one right before.
Yeah. It was 2003. It was my first race ever in that car. I qualified third, led a lot of laps, and one of the big dogs from the Cup Series, Matt Kenseth, beat me.
Yeah, I know that dude.
I finished second. My
Right.
first ever start. Like, that was crushing. So then after that...
But in that crush, there must have been while you're eating like some cheeseburger pissed, there must have been an underlining like, I'm going to fucking kill all these guys. Because if they're fucking letting me come in second in my first fucking race, you're in deep shit. It's the way I think about VaynerMedia. In the first year that I kind of ran this company, I took it from 3 to 14 million. And I was like, and I just remember thinking, and we had devastating losses where we came in second. I just remember thinking, you're in deep shit. Vayner Sports, my brother and I now do football representation.
Yeah.
This was kind of like our first official year, and I'm in the living room in the final 2 or 3 for Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, the top quarterbacks coming out of the race into the league. We didn't get either, but when we didn't get them, all I thought about was these guys are in deep shit in the sports representation business, because if you're letting me in the fucking room for the fucking number 1 quarterbacks in year 2 and we're still fucking dicking around and haven't even really started, I'm gonna slice your fucking throats. Is that that what you thought when you came in second in that
Yes.
race? Were you?
Absolutely.
exactly
No question.
Of course. That's how we're ending this fucking episode. Punching 7-year-olds, slicing throats. Fucking, I'm into this. I'm getting fired up. Kyle, thank you so much
All right,
for
man.
being.
Yep.
As the
Pleasure,
guest,
Gary.
you get to ask the question of the day. So all the people watching right now, this is a way for you to get like maybe some debate settled, or maybe you're curious about what people are thinking out there. You get to ask the question of the day. You can go and by the way, you can ask people favorite color. I don't care where you go, or you can be very thematic to what we've been. Question of the day.
All right. What made you become a NASCAR fan of today?
Love it. I can't wait to see all the answers of this episode. You keep asking questions, we'll keep answering them.